for next spring, but they wanted to bid that interchange project. So they pulled the plug on the Beloit project so they could bid the McPherson project, and then it turned out that they were second or third on that project, so they didn't get it. But they have to, unfortunately, they don't get to select whether they're going to bid a project. You know, they can't choose number one or not choose number one, and then KDOT opens the bids on one, and then they get to decide whether they're going to bid 2, 3, 4, or 5. They just have to bid them all at the same time, any that they're interested in. And
the concern in this case was they might wind up with 2 or 3, and they didn't have the manpower to prosecute both or more than one of those projects. So we wound up with one bid.
Well, what if could we go ahead and have rebid it?
Yes.
Since some of these might have lost it with bidding, maybe they'll come back in and bid it again.
We could do that. The indications we've gotten are that we might save a couple $100,000, $150,000 to $200,000 if we did that. Might be a lower bid. It would still leave the city on the hook for quite a bit of money.
Well, the suggestion in here, it says you guys recommend it.
Well, I want to be clear. What Stuart was saying again was that KDOT gets the plans from us. They prosecute the bid letting, the award, all that. In fact, they are the ones who prepare the engineer's estimate for a KDOT project. They do it based on averages for various areas throughout the state. And those bid averages are used to create a engineer's estimate from KDOT.
Okay.
That's what this was over.
In other words, if we decide to rebid it, we have to wait until we get so many more bid, or many more jobs coming in, or can we do it right now?
We could rebid, we could reject this bid and rebid again and say probably January would be the first time we could get on another bid letting.
Well, if we wait till later, we're gonna have to pay extra. This might be cheaper right now than later. I mean, you know, concrete's gonna raise, everything, wages gonna raise, everything's gonna raise.
Possible. I do think there's a big factor out there that most of the contractors are very busy right now.
Yeah.
If there's a chance that they might get hungry by summertime and you had a bid letting in, say, April or May, it's possible you get some contractors bidding in who wanted the project and wanted to have their crews working. That would indicate lower prices.
Just kind of reading this project here is a lot smaller than a lot of these others.
True.
That's why they didn't want this, because they can make more money on the other jobs.
Would we be better off to go ahead with our East Main and put this on hold till after that?
that is a very worthy thought. One concern that I've got right now relative to East Main is, you know, we're hearing that the concrete paving contractors are pretty busy right now, and there aren't any locals that I know of that would be set up to take on a project the size of East Main Street. So
we're probably in the same boat.
we might be in the same boat. I would certainly be willing to try that. I mean, I think that would be a reasonable approach, but I don't know that there are any guarantees right now. There's at least 3 or 4 contractors that I would have expected to bid the K-14 project, and they didn't.
If we were to bundle East Main and K-14, would that be a more attractive bid to those people?
That's a good question. A couple of things come to mind initially. We would be shutting down 2 major entrances into the city for a 5 to 6 month period, probably. I think that probably wouldn't be very attractive to a lot of the folks around town, but that could be discussed. Another thing that I don't know how to quantify it, but the contractor that I told you about earlier that pulled their bid back, they are the contractor that has the airport paving project. So they are doing a project right now and they could have slid right in and got started on the K-14 project. I mean, the timing would have worked out very nicely, I think, for them. And they chose not to. So that's a very subjective thing. I don't know how to answer that one.
Can you mix those two projects where you would probably have to bid this and the state would bid that?
Well,
Because this is not a highway out here, this is not a state highway out here on the.
correct. That is
So
absolutely
that would
correct.
be your bid.
That would be us bidding it. And
So
I'm
combining those together under one contract, it might be difficult.
Oh, I think that would be
That's-
impossible because of two funding sources, and KDOT has some pretty
So
rigid
combining
rules.
those two projects would be almost,
No.
can't happen.
Right. Now, we could set them up so that they would bid within a week of each other. I mean, that would be pretty easy to do, but it's impossible to predict how contractors would, think about that. I don't know what they would say.
Have you approached the airport people about doing East Main? Would that slide into that, or?
Well, but see, that's the thing. They are the contractor that hold their bid back.
Because they were too busy.
Because they're
with
too
other
busy.
projects.
What
They-
was,
they
what
have-
was our original price we were looking at for the city to do that 14?
Well, the total.
Original construction cost was in the $730,000 range,
And now we're talking $1 million
to
something.
1.2. And in fact, based on KDOT bid averages for this area of the state, or well, actually Area 1 of the state is pretty much all of the state except the metropolitan areas, but based on KDOT bid averages of the second quarter of 2015, that number of 730,000 still holds true. It's just that the timing and the materials costs and how this worked out, this is a very expensive project right now.
Well, isn't that something we could put off? I mean,
Or is it use it or lose it?
And rebid.
It can be put off, and KDOT has thrown out some options for us. Our local KDOT contact would like to see the city rebid the project. We've talked amongst ourselves many times in the last 4 or 5 days. KDOT has also thrown out the possibility of applying for another geometric improvement grant, like the one that funded this project, and that application is in May. And we could use those dollars to finance the overage of the current project. We could also use the excess dollars to extend paving from the low area on 14 Highway south towards the concrete pavement near Shopko or Thompson Tire.
Can I add something to that?
Absolutely.
That other project, which goes from this project south to the existing curb and gutter section, has already gone through 2 geometric improvement application years. Hasn't been selected yet, but it's moving higher on the list, and at some point it will be selected. If we try to tie that one to this project, it would require some changes to the plans to incorporate both of those projects into one, and it would also require some reviews by KDOT of that plan set before they would allow it to be bid. If we left this project alone and only applied for new geometric monies to be applied to the overage of this project, made no plan changes, then that could be bid and relet just as soon as those funds became available in, say, August or September of 2016.
Could those two projects be tied together?
Again, they could be, but it would require redoing the plans
Yeah. that close
to put them both together, and KDOT would again want to review that, which would push the timeline
Right
back.
back. This project has parts north and south of it that are not complete then?
It has a part south of it, which is not yet complete. It goes
So
from.
this one goes all the way to 24?
Yeah, This one is only in the SAG section.
Yeah, so there's a part north and a part south that will not be complete.
That's correct.
Correct.
goes just a little ways south of Brown's property.
Yeah, I know.
The objective here was to replace the box and prevent the flooding over the road, and there wasn't enough money in geometric funds to take that all the way south to the existing end of
They capped the funds at $750,000 per application.
If we put this off, is there a hazard with that than where it is right now, down at the bottom of that draw, where it's kind of washed out and caved in on the west side?
It's getting worse all the time.
It is.
There's no doubt that it needs to happen, and it needs to happen as soon as practical, but $500,000 is a lot of money.
Say that there is an accident due to that drop off and how that is deteriorating on the shoulder, whose responsibility would that be if that would happen?
That's a good question. It's still a state highway.
And yet the
I
city
don't
is
know.
responsible
Katie?
for maintenance.
I don't know how that works with the maintenance, with the agreement that we have with the Venus State
If
Highway.
we go
Honestly,
with
I
the
don't
extra
know.
money, are we go full steam ahead, or are we still waiting on a contract?
If you come up with the money and submit it to KDOT by December, the first week of December, that project will go. Over the winter, they'll start doing utilities work, and in the spring, they'll be full bore with the road closure and putting in the boxes.
But you still don't know that we would have a contractor for East Main.
Well, we don't, but we won't know that until we bid it. I really think we'll get even in today's market, I think we'll get 2 or 3 bids, because we don't have near the strings attached to our work that KDOT has. I think we will get some bids. Now, will they be as competitive as we would like to see them? I don't know. But before we bid that project, I would intend to come and talk to you about the schedule of the project and how much time we give a contractor and how far, how much we're willing to delay the start date and things like that, so that it can help assure that we're gonna get the best pricing we can.
Stuart, is there any
500,000.
way you can visit with the KDOT personnel and find out about that spot down there, if that is our responsibility or if it's the state's responsibility?
We can
I
certainly
mean,
ask that
'cause that's-
question.
I mean, if something would happen there,
I really think, if the city is seriously considering coming up with the additional funds to make this thing happen in the short term, I would strongly recommend that as a minimum, we rebid the project and pick a letting where there aren't so many projects on the docket, and hope that we get at least 2 or 3 bids. Because we have a pretty good indication that a bid that was pulled was probably lower than the number that you received.
And we also have some indications that, one of the things KDOT pointed out was that working days on that project were fairly low. They would be more than happy to increase the working days. That might make it more attractive for certain bidders who need a little additional time to complete the project.
I mean, because if we're looking at what, 3 months, 4 months?
For the entire project, I think you
Well, I
probably
mean,
look at-
before, if we decided to rebid the process, how many months are we talking?
Yeah, we're probably looking at, like I said, maybe the letting date in, January at the earliest?
I believe we could in January.
Okay, so January, award into February. Contractors typically wouldn't have started that project anyway until March. I think we had a late March start date. So conceivably, we could be on the same timeline or within a month of where we're at even right now, if we chose to rebid it, just the way it is.
Sounds like to me the best deal for us is to rebid it, unless we want to spend even of dollars to get things rolling, and it doesn't sound like it's going to delay it a lot.
I mean, that's what I think we want to do, is to rebid it, but I'm also concerned about who's responsible for the shoulder if.
Could that be patched up and get us through, like?
Well, we can talk to KDOT maintenance and see what they
I mean, I'd
say.
like to know it's their responsibility.
Yeah, it should be,
You know, then, but if it's our responsibility, then maybe we need to do something in the meantime before, you know, if we're gonna rebid this thing.
well, in that light, Stuart, what's your feeling about going ahead with East Main before that?
Well, that was gonna be a part of the discussion. I was gonna ask the council, do you want us to, hurry to get those plans done, so that we can bid it? If we're going to rebid the 14 project in, let's say, January, I don't think we want to be bidding East Main before then. I think if the council wants us to, we could tell contractors that we would be bidding it soon after, so that construction on East Main could start when 14 is complete, so that the contractor could just move right over there and get started on it. I see that being a possibility. I think that closing both of those main accesses into town would be a real.
Well,
Getting into
especially with
harvest and
Arkansas
stuff like
parks.
that.
Are you gonna be ready to bid Main Street by then?
We could be, but I really think that if the council wants us to rebid 14 Highway, I think that needs to happen, and then we assess the next step on East Main Street. And in the meantime, we'll be ready to go with East Main Street.
So you would still maybe do that work before you do that, even though you wait on the bid, or you still wanna do that first?
Well,
Yeah.
if the bids come back in a favorable condition, yes.
And if
Well, I would be in favor of letting you research the best option for us. I mean,
Well, we've kind of been doing that, and every, one answer leads to another question.
Yeah.
So that's why, I'll throw one other thing out, and I can talk too. This project was designed with curb and gutter and enclosed storm sewer down through the bottom. That's what the city had said that they wanted from the beginning concepts of that project. We've put a pencil to it, and we think that, $125,000 could be pulled out of the cost of the project by going to a traditional shouldered street section with traditional ditches. That will require a redesign of the plans, not wholesale changes, but there would be some changes, and that would have to go into KDOT's review. So there are some real dollars there.
Is this all gonna be concrete?
It is. That's another question that KDOT posed. Would the city be interested in asphalt street?
Why not?
But the rest of it's asphalt.
Well, but.
Not south.
Yeah, not south, but.
Like, the top goes south is concrete,
Right, but everything north.
How many years we've been talking about doing this East Main? 15, 20 years?
But I don't see any problem with using asphalt. I figured that's what it was gonna be anyway.
Well, the plan has been, and in some discussions, there has been talk of having concrete paving all the way out to 14 Highway, or 24 Highway,
Who
from Shopko.
who's in that conversation?
Well, that would be the previous street superintendent. Mike's been included in some of those conversations. I know Glenn's been included. But when we talk with KDOT, we have discussed the possibility of concrete paving all the way out to 14 Highway. And the way we had intended to accomplish that is through geometric improvement grant applications on an every year or every other year basis until we get paved out there. That's kind of been the city's long-range vision. I mean, we started clear down on Hersey, and then we went up to 8th and Independence, and then from 8th and Independence, there was another project north past Shopko and Thompson Tire.
Okay, if we went with asphalt, the maintenance part of that resurfacing ever so often, would that be the state job?
That would fall back on the city since
It'd
it's a.
fall back on the state?
Since it's a city route. It would, actually, maintenance of it would probably be applied for additional KDOT funds through the CLINK program. which is a resurfacing of asphalt within
Yeah.
cities.
Well, I mean, you know, they, every so often they research the highway.
You could apply for Clink grant money on that and do the project with that grant money, but the actual maintenance of it would be the city's responsibility.
That would be the
That's
same.
true, whether it's concrete or asphalt.
That would be the same type of project that we did a year and a half ago on 8th Street and a little bit on 14th.
I'd like to know the difference in price between just building it right back like it is instead of cement.
Now, again, I think it would be about $125,000 savings. It might be slightly different than that because there are some premiums for bid items in this area that
Wouldn't be a lot of savings with it,
compared to the overall project, not really.
if we're gonna go on.
If you look
Would
at
that-
a long-term deal,
Would
there's a
that
lot more
help
maintenance.
for a bidder to be satisfied, maybe to want to bid on it, if we go with asphalt?
Well, it certainly opens it up to a different
Different
group of contractors.
Right.
But you also have to ponder that we've got 3 asphalt contractors in the entire western half of this state.
Yeah.
There just aren't very many asphalt
Go ahead, you have
contractors.
a question?
I do. Glenn, this is for you. Being you didn't put a recommendation on this, what are we actually supposed to be voting on tonight?
Yeah, well, number one is whether or not to accept this bid. Yeah,
Reject this bid, try it again.
Right, so it's because we'll have to have formal action on that.
Can we?
Yeah, I'll
second. Can you do that? Wait. Can you do both of those things in one motion?
What's that, reject? and then-
Reject and request for rebid?
I don't see why you couldn't. I don't see why you couldn't do that. I mean, they're looking for
Now,
a
do you want to do
decision.
that?
Yeah, I'll-
Okay, we've got a motion from Councilman Kingler, let me interrupt you guys here just a second, that we not approve the bid and rebid the project.
Yeah.
And a second by Councilman Brown?
Yep.
Okay. Now, is there any further discussion for Stewart?
There better not be.
If I may,
Yes, you may.
actually, I think that's probably your best option. At this point, if the dollar amount is worrisome to you, at this point, reject the bid, rebid it. By the time that second bid goes through, we'll have a better idea of what we're looking at as far as the bidding nature of the contractors right now. If it comes back high, then we go through some of these other options, applying for more grant money, changing the plan to maybe an asphalt section, et cetera. If it comes in low enough for you to feel like you can proceed, you can proceed. So I think that's probably your best
And
option.
along with that, my suggestion, I don't know about everybody else, but proceed with doing something with East Main
Yeah,
as
I
soon as
hate-
you think that it's feasible.
I don't wanna jeopardize East Main, that's,
Well, we will, I guess my plan would be to be ready to go to bids after we receive bids on 14 Highway, and then we'll know where we're at on 14, and we will need to define for contractors when they're going to be able to work on East Main. So the East Main project will hinge on what happens with 14.
did John Wrench not do that anymore? Didn't he do that section?
He has,
He's retired.
he's sold out, he sold his curb machine, yeah,
Okay.
he's,
I mean, I just think it'd be ideal if we could somehow coordinate something to where guys know that this K-14 project.
Well, I think where we're at
There
right
would
now.
also be that East Main project that they might be able to tie together.
I think that outfit, Marysville was leaving her asphalt outfit out there, they said, asphalt.
well, I don't know,
Okay, the motion on the floor is we reject the KDOT bid and rebid the project. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Okay, motion carried. Not accepted.
Wait till the first.
Gentlemen, thank you for having to spend the time.
Dude, you gotta quit doing this, guys.
I'm sorry, I won't come back.
No,
Tonight, no.
Come back, just bring money.
Yeah.
Lots of them. Lots of money.
Okay, next item on the agenda the demolition bid.
Is this the same property that Mr. Ponto talked about last time?
No. This is from White Rock Excavating for the amount of $4,900. Which building was this again?
This is over on Court Street. This is 709 West Court. Structure that the property owner was not able to do anything with. He was financially unable to address that. So they abandoned that property, and so the council approved the demolition of it, actually, previously. So in your packet, you see a copy of the bid specs, a copy of the bids. We received 3 bids out of 6 submitted, requested, and a copy of the contract. So with council's approval, we can approve that contract and a bidder. You can see one of them is significantly lower than the others.
That was my question is, do we have any idea what makes the one bid so much lower? Is there a difference in their?
The higher bidders have a lot more equipment, they've got a lot more overhead, they've got a lot more stuff, they've got a little more experience, I suppose.
And they're capable of doing the same work?
You talk about the low bidder? I believe so.
In the time frame?
Yeah, I believe so, yes.
Well, I got a question on the time frame of demolition. 60 calendar days. My house caught fire. It only took 14 hours to take that house down. Fill it in.
Right. What we're trying to do is allow the contractor the time over the winter months to take, to get in there and take that
I don't
down.
think it ought to be open that long.
That's up to you and the council.
If somebody gets hurt there, we're sued.
It's up to you and the council. Right now, it belongs to the property owner. Still doesn't belong to us.
Yeah.
Even after we're done with the demolition, property still belongs to the property owner.
I understand that.
Still their property, but, and we approved this demolition bid, whatever it is. We're funding that bid, right?
That's correct.
And our recovery is through the tax roll. Is that correct?
Ultimately, we'll send an assessment to the property owner to pay. Give him 30 days to pay that. It's unlikely he'll be able to do that. In that case, it'll be assessed certified to the tax rolls.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do an ordinance certifying.
What if any, and does it include, are there any liens against this property? I mean,
No.
are we gonna be the 4th, 5th one down the line to, you know, their name in the hat to receive any?
It doesn't appear that there are any liens on it at this time.
Okay.
So are we liable if somebody gets hurt over there, Chris, or is it still?
Well,
his
that's a legal question I
still
can't
his
answer.
property?
My opinion is no.
Yeah.
It's the property owner's responsibility.
Okay, I would agree.
Well, the contractor, he's got the, if he's working there, he's surely got liability insurance.
It's required in our contract, but yeah,
Have you seen it?
he has to bring it to us before he can start work.
That's what I kind of wondered.
Yep.
That's what I always have to do.
Paragraph 15.
I would move we approve the bid for $4,900 from White Rock Excavating.
It's been, motion today we approve the bid from White Rock Excavating for $4,900. Have a second?
So
Second by
moved.
Councilman Lottie. Any further discussion? No further discussion, those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. Next item on the agenda this evening is the Housing Rehabilitation CDBG bid.
I'm here for Carol Torkelson. She couldn't attend. She's at a meeting in Mankato. So I think you should have the bids in front of you for the recommendation for the 6 homes, the next 6 that we'll be doing. Just a little recap on what we have done. We've already completed all the demolition houses, And then we've got one rehab that's already been started, that's at 406 North Chestnut. The other ones haven't been started yet. But with what we'll have left after these 6 recommendations, we should have money left to do 2 more rehabs.
I make the motion that we approve the attached bid from the CDBG
Second it.
housing rehab.
It's been moved by Councilman Miller that we approve the attached bid for the CDBG housing rehabilitation bids, and was seconded by Councilman Brown. Is there any further discussion? No further discussion. Those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried. We have no closed session.